All right, listen up, folks. Let me spill the tea about my wife's sis. She's like this permanent tag along, always attached to us wherever we go. Now, don't get me wrong, the fam is important and all, but this sister in law of mine is on another level. She's slick, like a ninja, always trying to find the cheapest way out of things. And you won't believe this? She has the audacity to crack jokes about me being a snobby classist. Can you even? But hold up, hold up. I need to set the record straight here. I didn't grow up in some bogey mansion or with a silver spoon in my mouth. Nah. I hustled my way up, made my own name, and built my empire from scratch. So excuse me if I'm not exactly thrilled about constantly footing the bill for my sister in law and her man. Look, I'm cool with treating the family every now and then. It's all about quality time and making memories, right? But here's the deal. It's become a regular thing, like clockwork. Every time we make plans, my wifey just has to include her sis and her hubby. And guess who's expected to be the cash machine? Yep, yours truly. I get it, family loyalty and all that jazz. But let's keep it real. I didn't become the go-to ATM just to fund their little escapades. Meanwhile, my sis-in-law thinks she's the queen of thriftiness, always hunting for the cheapest deals and throwing shade at my spending habits. But here's the kicker, my peeps. Money doesn't define me. I worked my way up, ground hard, and made my own damn bankroll. So excuse me if I'm not laughing when my sister-in-law tries to play the classist card. I'm just tired of feeling like I'm stuck with the bill while she's smirking like the Cheshire Cat. It's time for my sis-in-law to realize that a free ride has an expiration date. So let me fill you in on the latest episode of The Chronicles of the Penny-Pinching Sister-in-Law. The reason why I'm writing this, brace yourselves, my peeps, because things just got even more outrageous. So get this. My sister-in-law and her man decided to move into my humble abode for some time as their house was being renovated. At first, I thought, cool, they'll have their own space. Here's the deal. Every time my sis-in-law needed to go out, she conveniently decided that my car was the perfect ride for her. At first, she had the decency to ask for permission, which was already kind of annoying. But guess what? After a measly 4 or 5 times, she just stopped bothering to ask altogether. Like, what the actual heck now? I am not a pushover, and I definitely value my personal space and property. So you can imagine I wasn't exactly thrilled about my ride turning into her personal chauffeur service without my consent. I mean, come on, common courtesy is a thing, right? But oh no, my friends, it didn't stop there. She took it to a whole new level of audacity. It became a routine. Whenever she needed to run errands or go somewhere, she just assumed my car was up for grabs. No heads up, no consideration for my plans or schedule, just a blatant disregard for boundaries. Let's be real. I work hard to have the things I do, including my wheels. I'm not about to let someone walk all over me and treat my car like a community vehicle. It's my pride and joy, my mode of transportation, and I'll be damned if I let my sis-in-law turn it into her personal Uber without even a thank you. So it's time to put my foot down. I geared up for serious talk with my wifey, making it crystal clear that my car is off limits to my sis-in-law. Boundaries, my friends, boundaries. It's about time we establish them and reclaim some semblance of sanity in this crazy family dynamic. But my wife, well, she just said I was overreacting. Wow. So after I couldn't take my sister-in-law's car borrowing shenanigans anymore, I made a bold move. Yep, you guessed it. I filed a secret police complaint. I was ready to put an end to this madness once and for all. When my wife found out about the complaint, she went ballistic. She insisted that I take it down, and I was left scratching my head, wondering why she was so protective of her sis. I mean, I get it. Family loyalty and all, but something seemed fishy. Curiosity got the best of me, and I just had to know why my sister in law would be in such deep trouble if the cops dug into her past. So my wife spilled the tea, and let me tell you, it was a mind blowing revelation. Turns out my sister in law had quite a complicated history that could make things go haywire if the authorities started poking around. Picture this. A few years back, before I even entered the picture, my sister-in-law was involved in some serious high-stakes stuff. We're talking about a secret double life, hidden identities, and an underground world that would make even Hollywood screenwriters go, whoa. Now, I won't go into all the nitty-gritty details, because trust me, it's a whole other level of crazy. But let's just say that if the cops got wind of her past, it could open up a can of worms that would turn her world upside down. Think shady connections, past misdeeds, and a trail of breadcrumbs that she definitely doesn't want anyone following. So there it is. The reason my wife was so adamant about me dropping the complaint. It wasn't just about protecting family. It was about protecting my sister-in-law from her dark past, catching up with her. The whole situation had me feeling like I stumbled into an episode of some intense crime drama. After learning about my sister-in-law's mysterious past and the potential consequences if the cops got involved, I had to make a decision. I laid it all out for my wife. I told her that if we were to bury the complaint, it came with a hefty price tag. No, I'm not talking about money, although, let's be real, that would have been nice. The condition I set was that my sister-in-law and her man had to pack their bags and find a new place to call home. Yep, you heard it right. I wanted them out of our lives for good. Now let me explain why this was such a big deal. Having them living near us meant constant intrusion, with my sister-in-law helping herself to my car without permission and all that jazz. It was driving me up the wall. I needed some peace and privacy in my own home. Plus, let's not forget the whole secret past thing. I didn't exactly feel comfortable having someone with such a complicated history in such close proximity. When I presented this ultimatum to my wife, she was torn. On one hand, she understood my frustrations and the need for boundaries. On the other hand, family loyalty was deeply ingrained in her, and she worried about the fallout from our decision. But after some heartfelt discussions and a whole lot of contemplation, we reached a mutual understanding. My wife agreed that it was time for her sister and her partner to spread their wings and find their own place. She recognized the strain it was putting on our relationship and understood the need for some much-needed breathing room. Plus, with the specter of her sister's complicated past looming over us, it felt like the right move to protect ourselves as well. So that's the plan for now. Do you think I'm doing anything wrong? Update 1. So, my friends, the wheels were set in motion. We had a serious talk with my sister-in-law and her man, explaining our decision and the reasons behind it. They were initially taken aback, surprised that their actions had finally caught up with them, but deep down, I think they understood it was time for a change. Fast forward a few weeks and the dynamic in our lives has shifted. My sister-in-law and her partner have found their place, and the distance has brought a sense of relief. No more unannounced visits or car borrowing antics. It's just my wife and me enjoying a newfound sense of tranquility and space. Taking this opportunity, I spoke to my wifey. I laid it all out on the table, sharing examples of her sister's cheap steak tendencies, the way she always seemed to freeload and expect us to foot the bill. I also mentioned how she often made snide remarks about me being classist, even though I had worked hard to make a name for myself and didn't come from a privileged background. I made it clear that it wasn't about money, but rather about the principle of the matter. I didn't appreciate always having to be the one to pay for them, especially when it felt like they were taking advantage of our generosity. It was starting to build resentment within me, and I couldn't ignore it any longer. She admitted that she had been so accustomed to her sister's antics that she had become desensitized to the impact it had on me. She assured me that she would talk to her sister and help her understand the boundaries we were setting. Update 2. Damn, because things just got real after my heart-to-heart conversation with my wife about her sister's antics. There was an unexpected twist in the saga. Brace yourselves for some fiery confrontations and a long overdue stand. So picture this. My wife tried to softly talk about the issues, but well, according to sister-in-law, I was labeled as a dynamic arse, and she didn't hesitate to make sure my wife knew it. Well, let me tell you, I was taken aback by this revelation. My wife, bless her, finally took a stand for me. She had had enough of her sister's behavior and was not about to let her undermine our relationship any longer. Armed with a newfound determination, my wife unleashed her frustration and firmly put her sister in her place. She didn't hold back and called out her sister's manipulative tactics and pointed out that I always ended up footing the bill for their escapades. She made it crystal clear that my contributions to their outings were not a sign of me being a classist, but rather a demonstration of my generosity. She firmly defended our relationship and emphasized that she would not tolerate any disrespect towards me. Update 3. After that fiery confrontation between my wife and her sister, things have taken an unexpected turn. Buckle up because this update is all about growth, distance, and newfound peace. It seems like the truth has finally hit home for my wife. Since that confrontation, my wife has taken decisive action and is keeping her distance from her sister. She's no longer tolerating the manipulations and the constant burden of financial obligations that came along with her presence. It's like a weight has been lifted off our shoulders and our relationship has found new footing. The absence of my sister-in-law's constant presence has allowed us to focus on our own growth and happiness. We're no longer catering to her whims and demands, and it has given us the space we needed to flourish as a couple. We're enjoying a newfound freedom and sense of peace that was missing before. Our relationship is thriving, and we're doing so much better now that we're not constantly entangled in the drama and financial strain caused by my sister-in-law. Okay, wow. NTA. You're not supposed to be the breadwinner for your sister-in-law's family. Good to see the wife helping. NTA, you got caught in a real mess, I reckon. Hope things work out now that they're out of your hair. Your sister-in-law is a real piece of work. Don't let your wife talk to her. I'm telling you, she will manipulate her again. Lesson learned already. Next story. So, growing up and even now, I've never drank coffee. Never got into it. I don't understand how people drink it. They say you acquire the taste, but I tasted it one time, thought it was gross, never sipped it again. I don't really drink much other than water, and I don't need the help getting up early for work because I never built up a dependence to it. My whole family drinks coffee, and most of my friends do, but I've never made it myself. I lived with roommates for a bit, but recently got my own small rented house. I'm the only one who lives there, and there is an extra bedroom. When family comes to visit, they've been staying with me, which is fine. I enjoy them staying with me and enjoy having a house with extra room. This has happened a few times with people that stayed with me, but for this post, I'll use the most recent one. I still live in the same area I grew up in, but my parents moved down to Florida, as many parents with no kids to take care of anymore do. Recently, they stayed with me for 4 days, and it was great. Besides, the fact that I do not have a coffee machine, and to them that is somehow a crime against humanity, they say that even if I don't drink it, I should have a machine and buy coffee, which I think is ridiculous. I have enough things to keep guests comfortable, and if someone wanted coffee, they could take a short drive and get some from any drive-through. My parents are one of those dead without coffee type of people in the morning, and they brought it up every morning. In the past, a cousin stayed with me and one morning was like, "Where's the coffee?" and was upset. My parents brought the coffee quickly and kept it on the counter, but one morning asked me to make them some coffee, which again, I have no idea how to do that. They think this is rude and that everyone should know how to make coffee. But I said, this is like wanting smoothies in the morning and being mad that I don't have a blender. My parents, my cousin, and my aunts, two separate occasions, stayed with me and all made coffee comments. But my parents kept it up as if it's some mark against my character. I don't drink alcohol, but nobody has ever whined because there is no beer in my fridge. Edit. This is off topic, but goddamn, how much coffee are you drinking in the morning? I heard people say that 1 cup from Starbucks is not enough, convenient, and that they go through 3+ cups in the morning. I don't think that much of anything in the morning. I get out of bed and sip a glass and a half of water. No judgment, just wow. So much liquid right away. I saw someone mention 10 cups. NTA, it's your house. Doesn't need to have coffee in it. They can pack their own coffee maker or buy coffee from a drive-thru like you said. It's ridiculous to expect you to keep these things on hand when you have no want or use for them yourself. I also don't drink coffee and wouldn't make it a habit to keep a coffee stock just in case someone decides to visit me. NTA, you're not obliged to do it. That said, if I were you, I'd buy a cheap can of instant coffee for guests and call it a day. This is the kind of for guests expense that can be expected of a host on the level of extra toilet paper and a spare towel or two. Then the question shifts from, are you, the host, providing a daily necessity to your guests, to are the guests expecting the same level of luxury they provide themselves at home? Next story. I, 24, female, work as a CNA. I work the night shift for a small branch of nursing after surgery recovery centers in my city. They are all ran together by my boss, female, late 30. Everyone knows that there is a shortage of CNAs, healthcare workers. So no surprise we run short too. So this has caused many of us to pick up extra shifts and work OT every week. Mind you, normal work shift is 12 hours. So I was working 16 hours back to back. I didn't mind it because it was winter, nothing to do in the snow. I needed the extra money since my car decided it was going to die without my permission. I had my first day off after working 8 days straight of 16-hour shift, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. I stayed past the legal 16 hours because we had no one. I was burnt out and just wanted to sleep. I had just gotten home around 2 p.m. when I got a call from my manager demanding I had to come back in tonight at 6 p.m. because the other night the girl called in again. I told her no. That's not happening. I'm way too tired to drive, let alone take care of residents handling Norks. She got upset, told me there isn't anything else to cover, and that she delegated this shift to me. I told her, it sounds like you have to cover for once, and I don't get paid enough to figure this out. She was yelling if I don't show up, she's going to write me up and charge me for abandonment. I start to record this conversation with her after she said that. We argued and I hung up on her. I told myself I'm quitting, but went to sleep. A couple of hours later, I hear a knock on my door. I thought it was my mom bringing my dog back to me, but realized my mom has a key to my place. So went to see because there wasn't any other reason for anyone knocking at my door. It was an officer. Thinking the worst, I opened the door and got out by him. He must have seen the worried look on my face. He was extremely sweet towards me. Told me his wife called me if I could give me a lift since I'm on the way, and he started his shift. He was under the impression that I was covering but didn't have a ride to work. Told him it was not needed and explained everything to him. I had my phone on me when the manager called me. I answered and she goes, "Since you were too tired to drive," she got her husband to come give me a ride. He took my phone and said, "We need to talk," and hung up. He gave me my phone, told me to put DND. I told the officer to have a safe shift. He goes, "I get it. Get some rest." I feel bad because he went out of his way to come get me. I'm not on the way for anyone. I maybe should have just sucked it up and gone in. Now they might get into a fight because of me. Now they might get into a fight because of me. Stop putting other people's problems and choices on yourself. Take the recorded message to HR. If they do anything, take the recorded message to a lawyer that specializes in employment law. Print out any timesheets that show you being forced to work beyond 16 hours in a 24-hour period and other violations. Slam the book down hard on this woman. NTA, good luck. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.